Hello, welcome to the Blancpain GT Series Asia, coming to you from Buriram, Thailand, the Chang International Circuit. My name is Renai Matsu. It's a pleasure to be here today. This is race 2 of the weekend, round 4 of the championship. With 12 races all up, we are officially a third of the way through, and the action is getting hotter by the day. Really hot today. It's 56 degrees on track. It's super hot. Plenty of fans as well, out in droves to support the Thai team. I'm going to try and chase down some of those drivers. Joining me today in commentary is Bruce Jones. Bruce, over to you.
Thank you very much, Renai, from my air-conditioned commentary box. I don't want to rub that in. But the stage is absolutely set for the second race of the inaugural Blancpain GT Series Asia's first visit to Buriram. And after yesterday's encounter, which was packed with action from the start all the way through to the desperate dash to the checker flag, I know much more now about what to expect. Except, of course, the grid is totally different today. And the starting drivers for this afternoon's race are the ones who drove through the second stint yesterday. So let's take a look at the weather. We talked on Friday that there might be a spot of rain. There isn't going to be. There we are. We heard 56 degrees track temperature, humidity 54%. And look at the sky. There is blue sky. So I think the rain will stay away. This is the view from turn 3, looking all the way back to the giant grandstand on the left-hand side of your screen. That's where the grid is formed. Renai is down there, and she's hunting out driver interviews as we speak. And she's got one right now. So let's go down to Renai.
Yes, Bruce, thank you. Look, I've got one of the Thai drivers here. Now, you had a great day out yesterday. What are we hoping from you today?
Yeah, well, pretty much like the same yesterday again. Chris, my co-pilot, starting the race. So hopefully make up some position and then just bring it home, incident and accident-free. Yeah.
Bring it home in front of the home crowd. There's so many fans here today. That's got to be great.
Yeah, it's great. Have a chance to race in front of the home crowd. Just lots of support.
Lots and lots of support. Good luck to you. Over to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Renee. And of course, the car that was being discussed there is the number 88 Craft Bamboo Racing Porsche. Chris van der Drift will be kicking off in the first half of the race. The race is 1 hour long. The driver changes come any time after 25 minutes from the start of the race, 35 minutes from the start. So watch out for those. We have the driver changes. This afternoon's drivers that start will be driver 2, and the driver who started yesterday's race will be taking over at the halfway point. But let's take a look at the track. 4.554 kilometres, 12 turns. The first part of the track, very much high speed element up to the end of the dark blue sector. Then that big hairpin we saw at turn 3 brings us back, and then when you get to the pale blue sector that ends the lap, it's twisty, very technical. No wonder the drivers absolutely love it. And so they're all thinking about what lies ahead. The starting drivers really getting focused on that first corner and how they're going to position their car for the sprint down to the hairpin. Turn 3, where a lot of the overtaking action happened yesterday, and certainly the drivers know now where they can overtake here and really where they shouldn't be trying. And for the teams as well in this hugely hot afternoon, they would have got a lot of experience about tyre wear through the course of the race. Plenty of shade for the fans to sit in the main grandstand looking down at the grid, and of course from that vantage point they can see a lot of the circuit, which is a fantastic facility. Renai, super busy down on the grid. So let's cut down and find another face that Renai will interview down on the grid.
Hi, yes, I've got Buriram now. The surname is very familiar because we just spoke to someone with the same one. Is it a bit of a family connection?
Yes, it's more in the blood, really. We have 2 cousins, racing today. Hopefully, we 3 of us will do well. Yes.
Okay, so too now you got Carlo getting ready to go out there. How was your drive yesterday? Did you enjoy that?
Well, definitely, yes. So far, it has been an incredible weekend. Yesterday we started 12th, we finished 7th. I got hit behind, so it could have been better, but hopefully today we'll keep it up. Yes.
A tiny bit of a kiss. Best of luck today, and back to you, Bruce.
Thank you. And the car that Buriram will be racing will be the Singer Motorsport Ferrari, red and white livery, starting well placed 7th on the grid yesterday, or 7th at the end yesterday, but I think it's going to be very exciting. So the 3 Blancpain, the cousins, will all be out in the second half of the race. But yesterday's race, just mentioned it, let's have a look at the highlights, because there was plenty, I can assure you, of racing action. Here are the highlights of the first of 2 races at the Chang International Circuit. Leading away from pole position, the red and yellow Ferrari of Anthony Liu did just enough to keep Rina Mastronardi in a silver 38 Ferrari at bay into the opening corner. Already making ground, Hunter Rabbit up into 3rd place in a Mercedes, but behind Martin Kodrick going very well indeed. Great exit from turn 1 for the Lamborghini racer. Up at turn 3 though, things went wrong because Unfortunately, Mitch Gilbert had got his Audi ahead of the Mercedes, got clouted by it and was effectively out of the race, limping around at the tail end of the field. The number 18 Audi also went into rotation as well. No real damage, but just concertina effect. The damage came at the same corner about 6 or 7 laps later, and the Lamborghini that had been running third, Martin Kodrick, caught a GT4 Cayman that had already had a clash. The race leader, Anthony Liu, is out of the picture, out of the race, and that handed the advantage over as the 89 limps back. And the Lamborghini was rescued onto a flatbed. That put Rino Mastronardi into the lead of the race. And you can see the explanations in the pit lane, the famous driver had movements, who did what and where. 86 Audi, this was the one that Mitch Gilbert lost a lot of ground on that opening lap, out of the overall reckoning, definitely in the overall reckoning, was 38 Ferrari, in from the lead of the race into the pit stops. Rui Aguas went on to win the GT4 class, and tucked in behind was that 39 Ferrari that had a clash with a third of those Porsches, which of course was the yellow and green one. But on the pit wall, Rino Mastronardi was just urging the clock to beat down to the end of an hour, and certainly for his teammate Rui Aguas, things were getting tighter and tighter because he had the Mercedes closing in, Maxi Buch getting closer and closer. Now how's this? Just what you don't want when you're chasing is to have a Lamborghini spinning across your path, but fortunately that kept out of the way. Number 2 Lamborghini was able to continue, and luckily the 999 Mercedes was not too interrupted, but down to the final corner, under a second between the race leader. That's Rui Aguas and Maxi Buch, but there's the checkered flag, and Aguas had done just enough, another flamboyant flash of the lights, and it was victory to Ferrari over Mercedes, and Audis came 4th, 5th and 6th. And now down on the grid.
Okay, so Jeffrey, this is a great position to be in, the front of the row, pole position. Your teammates getting ready, but vastly different conditions from yesterday in that it's so hot.
Yeah, today actually is the hottest over the weekend at the station. We never had this high temperature for the practice, but yeah, I think we are ready for this.
Yeah, we had a good day out yesterday, and obviously this Thailand. Do you like this track?
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite in the calendar. I mean, people are really nice. The crowds turn out really good, and also the food, the track is, everything here it's a luxury to race here.
A luxury indeed. It's a great track to be at. Bruce, over to you.
Thank you very much, Renai, and Jeffrey Lee will be taking over from his teammate Alessio Picariello, who scored such a strong pole position. Alessio coming in this weekend, taking over the second seat in the car that starts from pole. The J-Fly by Absolute Racing Audi. Alongside, though, we've got Maxi Buch, and in the closing stages of yesterday's race, he got closer and closer and closer to the race winner. At the end was just 3/4 of a second down in one of, I'm pleased to report, 2 Group M Mercedes in this race, because the sister car was waiting for spares to be flown out from Germany. They arrived last night, and it will get to race. In fact, its door is open. You can see it right on the right-hand side of the grid, down towards the back. Graphite grey with the yellow stripe up over its nose. And alongside it, it's got the Milestone Racing Audi as well, another car that didn't get to race yesterday. So 2 of the quick runners are down on the 10th of the 12 rows, so look out for them. But right at the best place to be starting this 1-hour race, the second of 2 here at the Chang International Circuit, is the Audi number 7 on the front row, on pole position. It has the best line lying up ahead of it for the run to the first corner. On the outside, the 999 Mercedes, Maxi Buch, who is such a superstar in cars with a 3-pointed star on the bonnet. Races all around the globe for them, most notably leading the way, the Blancpain GT Series in Europe at the moment after the first sprint and endurance races of the season. 3 races under his belt, and he and Franck Pereira leading the way in Europe. But this is all about the inaugural Blancpain GT Series Asia, and Maxi will be very keen indeed on his debut performance in this new championship to see what points he can pick up. So that's the front row, Picariello and Maxi Buch, Audi ahead of Mercedes. Alex Young got promoted to the podium last night when the 999 Ferrari was shunted back from 2nd to 6th. Expect good things from him. And Davide Rizzo and Anthony Liu were leading yesterday's race, the yellow and red Ferrari on the right of your screen, and they got taken out up at turn 3 when leading, so they will expect more. Carlo Van Dam, we heard on the grid from his teammate Vorwood Pirompagti, they're starting from 7th on the grid. And Max Weiser had a very strong race in the Spirit of Race Ferrari yesterday afternoon. Look for more from him, starting from 8th. On row number 5, Sean Thong and Mark Chi Lee, they ended up 2nd yesterday after Mercedes was demoted. Very, very strong and well-balanced duo there, so expect great things from them in the Audi Hong Kong entry. That's car number 5. So the cars going around getting heat into their tyres, and there's certainly plenty of heat coming up from the track. Going around the back part of the circuit, round the first of the ponds. That's from turn 4 into turn 5. On this, the formation lap. All focus now really being on getting the cars just, and more to the point, the drivers just getting their heads absolutely straight. So good chance to see this track, many turns, 12 turns around the course of the lap. And we've got 4 GT4 Porsche Caymans at the rear of the field running in their own class. So on with Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel. They led the championship by 13 points and came away with no points yesterday afternoon. They're starting on row 6, so look out for the number 86 Audi, because I'm sure that will make great progress. The first and second at Sepang, and then nothing yesterday. Maxime Juice very strong in the Escola Thailand entry, and Alberto Di Folco, Aidan Reed, one of 2 Lamborghinis left in this race. We lost one yesterday, unfortunately. Darlow Young, one of the most distinctive cars on the grid, will be started by Devon Modell. It's the yellow and green Porsche just in your shot there. The only Aston Martin in the race just coming into your shot there, that's car number 69. And then this is the row that could be on the charge. Frankie Cheng Kong Fu in the Milestone Audi and Jules Simkowiak in the Mercedes alongside. Up from row 10, I'm sure they will go. And the last 2 rows of the grid, it's all 4 Porsche Caymans in the GT4 class. And they are just working their way through corner 10 out of 12. So the grid is coming down in formation as it's expected to do to the last corner. And the drivers on the front row, Alessio Picariello and Maxi Buch in the big Mercedes on the outside. Their eyes will be on the lights on the starting gantry. You can see them up ahead. They're all red. They'll be held until the majority of the field is round that very tight final corner. Turn 12 right. The whole field is now on the start finish straight. Wait for the lights. Wait for the noise. Looks like a very good start. And look at the silver Ferrari trying to come up the middle between them. But it looks like Picariello has done just enough. Is Buch going to be given a tap? No, he isn't. Very, very tight in behind, because Alex Young was having a bite at 3rd place. It looks like they're running in grid order. Up ahead of them is the Kink on the run to turn 3. 4, 5 abreast are the cars as they come down this long straight. But it looks like 1st and 2nd on the grid are going to translate into 1st and 2nd up to turn 3. And they're so far clear, they should be safely around the corner. But behind, very tight indeed. Young with Rizzo getting right up into 5th place behind him, but the first 5 in grid order. In fact, Liu has just lost a position. Oh dear, we've lost one of the Audis. One of the KCMG Audis has had a clash with one of the Craft Bamboos. I think that's the 88. Porsche has got it wrong. And then on the grass on the right-hand side of the field as they come up to turn 4 was the 4th place. Ferrari kept it on the straight and narrow, and Alex Young is now securely in 3rd place. Big spin and a big hit, unfortunately. One of the cars is locked up way before they got to turn 5. We've got 2 cars in the gravel. We've had, because the car just failed to get the braking done, came up the inside and took out those ahead of him. I'd be very surprised if we don't have a safety car. But leading the way, Alessio Picariello being chased by Maxi Buch. Then there's a bit of a gap, then Alex Young. And further driver, Davide Rizzo, he is furious. He was an absolute innocent party there and got clouted by one of the Audis coming through. I think it was car number 18. I think that was Martin Rump, who was one of the stars of yesterday's race, set the fastest lap, appeared to just come up the inside and use the others as skittles. I'm looking for any mention on the timing screen as to what is happening with that. Yes, we've got the safety car flag is out. We've got, you can see the waved yellow flags because we've got the 4 cars to be cleared. One has gone all the way through the gravel and reversed into the tyre wall on the outside of turn number 5. 2 cars sitting in the gravel, and the red and yellow Davide Rizzo Ferrari is simply sitting on the tarmac, forlornly broken, unable to go any further. So how unfortunate, be super clean, much cleaner than yesterday up to turn 3 to the hairpin on the opening lap. Everybody bar 2 back runners got through, but let's take a look as the safety car goes around at a replay of what went wrong. So here's the start of the race, and we've got Alessio Picariello leading away very nicely. Maxi Buch keeping it clean on the outside, trying to dive up the inside, Rui Aguas, but Alex Young said, no way, sir, my black Audi is in 3rd place. Nice and clean, and then we'll have a little contact down towards the rear of the field. Just see it happening. One of the KCMG Audis taking a clatter of the Craft Bamboo Porsche, but the big action came further back around the lap. 2 corners later at turn number 5. There you can see one of the Audis being removed from, and here is the tattered remains of 4 cars down at turn number 5. I must confess I was looking at the leading couple and I didn't see exactly why the Audi came clattering through and used the others as as skittles as it went. But for three of the drivers there, I think they were the innocent parties, but unfortunately someone got it wrong. Whether they were pushed, whether they were shoved, whether they jumped, it's very hard to tell. So for Alessio Picariello and Maxi Buch, they did a fantastic job at the start. So did Alex Jung, but they've got to do it all over again. Admittedly, they will be released in the order they're running right now when the safety car releases the field, but it's going to be some few laps away, because I'm afraid that clatter has left probably more cars than we have flatbed trucks to remove them from the side of the circuit. Can't see from my commentary position why the 37 Ferrari, Davide Rizzo's Ferrari, is unable to be pulled away. The damage must be to the far corner from my commentary position. More rescue vehicles coming to the scene. I think all the drivers are safely out of their cars. And that is the number 19 KCMG. A Japanese pairing of Naoto Takeda and Takuya Shirasaka, who was at the wheel. That is slightly battered and broken, as you can see, dropping gravel. Bodywork a little tattered down the side and deflated left rear tyre. Still have time to get that away, but most of the damaged cars... Oh, well, the number 37 is now being towed away from the outside of turn 5. And there's a little access road. They should be able to peel that away, but I think they simply need more rescue vehicles. So frustration for the race leaders, but they know they've kept out of trouble. So Picariello leading from Buch. Max Visa got up to 3rd place. And then Aditya Patel, how's that? Up from row 6 to 4th place. So don't forget, he's in the 86 Audi, the car that was taken out of 3rd place at the opening lap yesterday. 0 points. Championship leaders. So Mitch Gilbert will be very, very pleased indeed that his teammate Patel has had such a strong start. Managed to steer clear of the trouble down at turn 5. They're still clearing up the 2 fallen Audis. They've got one of the fallen Ferraris out of the way, and the silver one of Rui Aguas that got clattered by a car coming through from behind is also in the gravel. So effectively the cars running between about 5th and 10th place were all exposed to that accident. And again, I didn't see the start of it. What I did see as I looked over my timing monitor was a car coming at considerably greater speed up the inside of the corner. The corner goes left, and he went straight on. All these other cars going around the track seem to be in fine form. They don't seem to have picked up any damage at all. Number 13, that's the Milestone Racing Audi, and that's picked its way up to about 10th place, which is good, from the 10th row. So certainly those cars trying to make a move, and tucked in behind is the other car from the 10th row. Fans in the grandstand still looking down to see what they can see in the shade, but these drivers just trying to regather their focus. They'll have all seen where the cars went off. They're just, the leading cars are just coming up to the scene. You can see in the background of the shot, you can see the flatbed trucks clearing up the remaining 2 cars. And I think in another lap and a half, we might be going racing again. So just to reiterate who got taken out, or who has fallen from the race. The cars fighting over 3rd and 4th, Alex Jung and Rui Aguas. Davide Rizzo, who was tucked in behind. Effectively, the cars 3rd, 4th and 5th were taken out. And Martin Rump, who started 6th, was, I think, the car that was the cannonball. So everybody else gained 4 positions there. So most unfortunate. And it really does make you feel as though Alessio Picariello, our race leader, and Maxi Buch have had a lot of their opposition removed halfway around the opening lap. And thus Max Visa, who's risen up from 8th on the grid into 3rd place, would be remarkably pleased that he managed to avoid what happened ahead of him, and has been able to vault up the order. If they can finish in that position, the pairing will be very, very pleased indeed. Max Visa driving the black and turquoise number 39 Spirit of Race Ferrari with Jin Jiang, Chinese racer. So for the drivers, there's frustration and no doubt a fair bit of relief as well as they go around for one more lap, I would suggest, behind the safety car. I can't see any particular debris by the circuit, and in the next about 5 seconds the last of the cars is just being winched down. I'm looking over the action there, down onto the flatbed truck. That will be taken away. The broken Ferrari, number 38 of Rui Aguas, is just being towed away into a position of safety behind the barriers, where it will join the number 37 Ferrari. Looking for any messages on screen alerting to me when the safety car might possibly withdraw. It might be this lap. could just as easily be one more lap away. So in this race, the number 2 drivers will obviously hand over to number 1. And so for a lot of them, they'd be frustrated they're losing their roughly half an hour of pure racing time. We're nearly at the 10-minute point in this race, and I think at the 10-minute point we should be going racing again. Let's look out for the lights on the roof of the safety car. They're still flashing away, and when they go out, the driver leading them round, Alessio Picariello, our pole starter, will know that he will be able to dictate when he floors the throttle once the safety car is pulled to the side and takes the restart. And Maxi Buch behind him in the number 999 Mercedes knows these situations very well indeed. He's nobody's fool, so he will be as close to the tail of the race-leading Audi as he possibly can be. Doesn't want to lose out. So that's the scene of the accident. Turn 5, they're just in turn 6 now. The field just turning to their left. Up a little rise. One of the things at the Chang International Circuit, it looks flat on the map, but there is gradient change, which always makes it that little bit more interesting. And in fact, I think the point they're going to just out of the corner, it rises up now where Picariello, I think that's the highest point in the circuit, then it drops gently down the slope to turn 8, where it is so super technical, and then it goes through turn 9, starting to turn to their right, and then there's a wonderful snaking sequence between there and turn 11. The drivers love it very much, but we did see on Friday with one car being put into the barriers that it's a tricky stretch of circuit. Still looking over to see if the lights are out in the safety car. Safety car in this lap, the message has just come onto the screen. That is good news indeed. So the safety car pulls ahead, and Alessio Picariello, who's already floored the throttle, coming out of turn 11. Maxi Buch isn't that far behind him. Max Wieser is closing in the number 39 Ferrari down to turn 12. They go back at full racing speed. Then there's a little bit of a gap back to Aditya Patel, who's keeping out of trouble, and Sean Thong tucked it behind, and Carlo Van Dam in the Singer Motorsport Ferrari. So it looks though Picariello got the start very right indeed. Maxi Buch is now under pressure from Max Wieser. So the Italian who's raced for so many years in Japan is tucked up under his tail, clatters the curb on the inside of turn 1, goes a little bit wide. They both go a little bit wide over the curbing, but way clear in the lead of the race. What a fantastic restart from the Belgian racer, Alessio Picariello. Don't forget, this is only his 2nd season when he's not been racing single-seaters, and he's really taken to GT cars in great style. But as you can see, down through the hairpin at turn 3, Maxi Buch was better on the brakes and had the car better balanced through the corner. And up behind, it looks so we're about to have a place change. A place has been changed from 6th up to 5th. Carlo Van Dam takes the red and white number 9 Ferrari. Gets his way past Sean Thong in the number 5 Audi Hong Kong entry. Silver and gold livery on that. But 86, there is our championship, well, sharing the championship lead. It's Aditya Patel, but the car that was sharing the lead with him is not 1 position behind, but 2 positions behind now, as Sean Thong lost that position. So at this early stage in the race, now we're back up to full racing speed. It's looking very good indeed for Aditya Patel, who will be handing over at the halfway point to his teammate Mitch Gilbert, and maybe they'll make their way forward by 1 more position to make it 3 podiums from 4 starts. It does seem at this point it was such a good restart from Picariello. He was 0.7 of a second clear on the start-finish line, and it looks to me as though he's eked out another 10th or 2, but again under braking for turn 12, the corner where we can see Max Wieser in 3rd place. That Mercedes with Maxi Buch is so good on the brakes. I always say in racing, it's not what you do with the throttle, it's what you do with the brakes that really marks the greatest drivers out. Behind them, about 7th, 8th positions, jockeying for position in the background. No place changes though. Best placed Thai driver in the race at the moment is Kantasak Kusiri, who's in 8th place overall. Well, there were a lot of cars taken out at turn 5 on the opening lap. Let's go down to the driver of one of them. He's upset, Rui Aguas.
Yeah, plenty of action in that first round. Who are you getting caught up in that? What happened?
I don't know. I did a good start. I was 3rd and then 4th to Alex Young. Then I tried to overtake him coming back on the straight after the hairpin. I tried left, he put me on the grass. I tried right, he closed again. And then I tried left, he put me again on the grass. Then I came clean to the double left, and somebody from the back completely missed the braking. But totally, it was a big bang, a big hit, and destroyed my race, and I think all the others. I think there's no respect on the racetrack. I was expecting more respect. and it's the first lap. It's very important survival on the first lap. I don't think people are thinking it's a 1 hour race. It's a pity. It's a shame also from the behavior of an ex-Formula 1 driver. I'm disappointed.
Okay, I'm sure they'll have a look at that again in the replays. Bruce, over to you.
Renai, thank you very much. That was the interview we wanted, and he was, of course, Rui Aguas, voice of huge experience, clearly displaying his lack, the incidents between he and Alex Young, but the driver who came through and rattled them off appears to have been Martin Rump. We don't know yet whether he was hit from behind and that caused him to miss his braking, but certainly his Audi came through and the others went out like skittles. So well done, Renai, to catch up with Rui, and Rui's always so balanced with his comments, so when he has that sense of anger in his voice, you know that's not a created emotion, that is very much the real thing. But what we're having at the moment is it looks like the gap between first and second is coming down, but again it's at that turn 3 hairpin that the Mercedes pulls back in, and then as they accelerate away again, Audi seems really to be fantastic. And coming up over the rise on the run from turn 3 to turn 4, it's still Alessio Picariello, and now Max Wiese is dropping away in third place. A gap back to Carlo Van Dam, who has picked off Aditya Patel last time around. So 2 places gained in 2 laps by the number 9 Singer Motorsport Ferrari driver. He'll be just in front of that shot. Behind is Aditya Patel, then Sean Thong, then Maxime Juice in the background, and then just a little bit further back is the best of the Thai racers, starting in car number 59, the Singer Plan B entry of Kantasak Kusiri. Of OD Racing, well, the championship positions 5th in the race for OD Racing, Aditya Patel, and right behind, equal on points in the championship lead, is the number 5 Audi of Sean Thong. I think that battle's going to run very well indeed. And certainly the Audis looked strong yesterday afternoon. They didn't go towards race victory, but they filled up most of the minor placings. They had a lot of the top 6 in Audis. Now the GT4 class, the 4 of them running, and that is being led at the moment by the number 77 entry, Frank Yu. He'll hand over to Jean-Marc Merlin. They were actually excluded from yesterday's race results for contact, having won the class, but at the moment they're sitting on a lead of, well, nothing at all, as you can see how small it is. 0.68 of a second between the two of them. And that's number 17 there. It's just gained a position. In fact, that was the battle for third place in class, just gone past Lowe in number 10, which is Eric Lowe, who'll be handing over to Byron Tong, the EKS Motorsport Cayman. As you can see, all 4 of the Caymans in the same shot there. Such a well-balanced car. No wonder it's so popular in the burgeoning GT4 championships and classes within main championships. Over the last few years, GT4 is a huge growth area, and a lot of the drivers, of course, will have their eyes on the GT3 action up ahead with the far more expensive and flamboyant and faster racing cars, but this is a very good building step towards that. And as you can see, the cars look very well balanced out on the circuit. Ground was lost at the start of the race by this Porsche, the number 88 entry, Chris van der Drift. He's just gone past the 69 Aston Martin, which also has been shoved a little bit wide because the number 2 Lamborghini, Lin Yu, has pushed the Aston Martin back a little bit as well. They're running in the AM class. 2 of them 69 and 2. So Chris van der Drift, plenty to do. He will be handing over to Nayanyo Pirumbakti, who spoke to Renai before the start of the race. Now, how big is that gap between first and second? Well, it has just come down because it's 0.2 of a second gained last time around by Maxi Bouk as he chases after Alessio Picariello, but still the number 7 Audi leads this race. Max Wiese behind them last time around. His lap time, he was losing 2-3 tenths. He's going in the opposite direction. And was he being caught last time around by Carlo Van Dam? No, he wasn't. So his third place is safe for now. And again down into turn 3, we can see Maxi Bouk really pressing on the tail of Picariello, but then the gap opens out a little bit as the Audi seems to get the power down sooner, coming out of that double apex hairpin. Great long shot. You can see the Singer Motorsport Ferrari running in 4th place, just coming up the hill, not able to do anything about the Ferrari ahead of it. Max Wiese having a very good race indeed in 3rd place. Now the race leader and the chaser, Maxi Bouk, going past the scene of where 4 of the top 6 cars were removed on that opening lap. And certainly Max Wiese, just going through turn 6 into turn 7, benefited from that quadruple knobbling. Maxi Bouk, though, still just really keeping Picariello very honest indeed, and both driving really with huge accuracy and precision. Of course, their tyres are in a good state at the moment. They would have saved a bit of tyre life by having that period behind the safety car, but clearly no handling problems for either of this pair at the moment. Max Wiese trying his best to hold on. Car number 7, warning for track limits abuse. Which is car number 7? Good grief, of course, it's our race leader, so Picariello. Now, what you're allowed to do is have 2 wheels to the right-hand side of the line at the edge that marks the edge of the circuit, but if you go over with all 4 wheels, then you start getting warnings. So that is early in the race for Picariello, our race leader. He's got the warning. The message will be sent out to him from his crew, J-Fly by Absolute Racing. And yesterday we in fact had the car that went on to win the race sitting on 1 final warning, so the drivers have to really know. You can have a little slip up, you're allowed 2 or 3, but if you're doing it repeatedly, you could be given timer penalties, or even a drive-through penalty, or even a drive-through and stop penalty. So plenty of penalties can come your way, and increasingly in recent years, race stewards pay a huge amount of attention, an ever greater amount of attention into whether people are trying to steal an advantage by going out beyond the edges of the circuit. It's tempting to do. There's that huge area at certain points around the circuit here of extra tarmac out beyond the edge of the racing circuit, but that isn't the racing circuit, that is merely the overfall. So the crew's looking at the timing screen. That's Mitch Gilbert just in the background of their shot. They're seeing if Aditya Patel is behaving well in 5th place, how the car is handling, looking at every bit of information they can get. But as shown by our race leader, Alessio Picariello, the Audi really does handle very well around the twisty parts of the circuit. It does seem very even. Van Dam, again, what we saw yesterday and in practice on Friday, the Ferraris that are running 3rd and 4th, they are very good in the first sector of the circuit. That is the sector from the start-finish line through the gentle right-hander at turn 1 and up towards just before the entry to turn 3. It's the straight line speed of the Ferraris that marks them out. Then when they get to the twisty part of the circuit, just a puff of smoke outside my window, and we've got a Lamborghini off in the gravel. Has got it wrong at turn 4. That's, I think, number 2 Lamborghini. Lin Yu out of the race, but he's way off the racing line. Wouldn't think that's going to cause any problems at all. Now, 86, this Audi battle looks fantastic. It's Aditya Patel in 86, Sean Thong and Kantasak Kasiri having a fabulous run, tucked in behind them. Kantasak driving the Singer Plan B motorsport team. An heir and a spare, if you will. Nose to tail, 3 Audis. Now, say for Kantasak, this is a really strong run against much more experienced racers. This is the battle, 3-way battle for 5th place. They don't seem to be able to live with the pace of the Ferraris ahead of them. Carlo Van Dam gradually dropping them and setting some very quick sector times too. And now the race leaders and even the pack behind are starting to lap the GT4 cars, so nobody trips up as they go past. The fastest of the GT4 cars tends to be about 12-13 seconds off the pace. So as you can see with the number 17, he is sticking to his racing line. That is what it's best that they can do. But then he tried to come across and nearly clouted one of the Audis. So win and you lose when you're going past the traffic, but it's best for the slower runners in GT4 cars stay online and let the others overtake them. It's when they suddenly make a move to get out of the way that they can trigger problems. So they have not only to concentrate on their own laps, and there you can see number 10 very kindly and cleverly indicating that he's staying to the left, but he has to turn in at some point, particularly at a corner as tight as turn 12. So that was great driving from number 10, and that was a driver we talked about before, Eric Lowe, keeping out of the way and doing all he can to make the message very clear. So Aditya Patel in the 86 Audi running at the moment in 6th place. In fact, he just been passed last time around by Sean Thong, so that wasn't a good lap. In fact, Thong was pulled away quite nicely. The silver and gold Audi, not only he's got past, but he's dropping Aditya Patel. Now, the 86 Audi yesterday was hit at this very point on the circuit on the opening lap. Mitch Gilbert put off. Then the car limped back round, raced up until the pit stops, and then unfortunately a gearbox problem led to Patel dropping out of the race, which meant 0 points for their tally. But they are still at this point championship leaders. But if they finish in this order, now that Sean Thong has gone ahead, they'll be falling to 2nd in the championship. But a long way to go, 37.5 minutes remaining. So 2.5 minutes remaining or so until pit window opens. It opens for 10 minutes. And as a good team manager, you have to decide if your driver is being held up, unable to overtake a car ahead, you might as well call them in early. Last lap or so has not been very good at all for Maxi Bouk. I think it must have been traffic because he was 0.7 of a second behind and now he's 2.5 seconds down. Still has the fastest lap of the race so far in the 999 Mercedes, but let's see if the speed around this lap. It looks like he's got back up to speed on this lap, but for the 7 Audi leading the way for Picariello, Went out to 2.5 seconds. It's now 2.4. In fact, a slight comeback from the Mercedes racer, but where he was right on the tail and possibly close enough to pounce if there was any traffic. Now there's a bit more of a cushion for our race leader. No cushion at all for Aditya Patel. Ooh, a bit of a twitch there from Kantasak Kasiri going through turn 1, and that's out over the curves. So that wasn't intentional. It was a result of getting it wrong in the corner, but certainly the stewards were watching that. And I've just had a little look at the timing screen, and one person who's got a bigger problem is a drive-through penalty for the driver of car number 88. And that's Chris van der Drift, who was hit on the opening lap, or did he do the hitting? Either way, he's picked up the punishment, so he's way down the order in the Craft Bamboo number 88 Porsche, so he's got to have a drive-through penalty. And that should take, using the pit speed limiter, about just under 25 seconds, so that'll pitch him right down to the back of the running order. Now, we haven't seen so much of the yellow-flanked Mercedes. That's Jules Simkowiak, who has worked his way forward from the 10th row of the grid up to 10th place overall, giving chase. He's the better place of the chasers because Frankie Cheng started alongside him and hasn't made as much progress. Frankie's another 2-3 positions behind. Number 1 Lamborghini needs to be passed. That's Alberto Di Folco, but I think the speed that Jules Simkowiak has should result in him going past. Now, if you weren't watching yesterday's race, this car didn't get to come out and play because the sister car was crashed by Hunter Abbott on Friday, and they didn't have enough spare parts to fix it. So but because Hunter Abbott was better placed in the championship, his car took the parts of the sister car. The sister car, this one, had to wait while a flight came in from Berlin. It landed yesterday evening, and the crew worked until 3 o'clock this morning before going up to the hotel. And the first cars are coming into the pit lane. Actually, they appear to have come in a bit second too early, unless it's that number 88 Porsche coming in to serve its drive-through penalty. Yes, it is. That's the one that's come in. I was worried someone had jumped the gun. If they wait another 2 seconds, and the pit window will be open. It is now open. There is the announcement on the screen, and there is Aditya Patel losing the position to Kantasak Kusiri. So the Thai racer, best place the Thais, moves up into 6th place overall. So Patel slightly struggling, and for a duo that picked up 1st and 2nd in the 2 races, Sepang, this hasn't been the greatest of meeting for the Audi racing team. Audi duo, bit of understeer there through turns 5, pushing a bit 2 at turn 6, but as you can see from that wonderful shot, the track just turns and keeps turning. There are very few opportunities on this circuit for a driver to relax, and once they've got up to turn 4, the left-hander that starts the passage around the first of the ponds, they are twisting and turning all the way until they come out of turn number 11, the penultimate corner. In the world of GT4, the 4 Porsche Caymans is number 77 leading the way. There is our race leader in class, sitting on an advantage of 5 seconds. That's been a very tidy opening stint. And giving chase is Eric Lowe, but the driver leading the way in number 77 is Frank Hugh. He will hand over to Jean-Marc Merlin. So Kantasak Kasiri up to 6th place now. And we heard before the race from his teammate, Burit Pirumpakti. He will be taking over really pretty times anytime soon. Car 1, track limit warning. That's got the flag. So one more of those and you have to come in and speak to the stewards. Car number 1 running around just the bottom end of the top 10. Next car to try and tackle it will be Jules Simkowiak in the Mercedes we saw just a few moments ago. Sean Thong really has pulled away in 5th place. Kantasak Kasiri going after him, and Aditya Patel, not so many laps ago they were nose to tail, altogether is dropping away, should just about be coming to shot now. No, he's lost another place on the circuit. I'll tell you what he's done. In fact, Aditya Patel wasn't in shot because he's one of the first of the top running cars to come into the pit lane. In fact, he's the highest place of the cars to make a pit stop. The 99 Porsche, Devon Medell started that. Darrell O'Young will be taking over. Looks fantastic in that yellow and green livery. Now, the pit stops, it's a minimum time of from pit in to pit out, 90 seconds. So the teams know how long the driving in and driving out takes, and they have to keep the car static on their pit apron until they can release it. If you manage to come out of the pits in under 90 seconds, then, of course, you will get a time penalty. Talking of time penalties, though, the top 3 finishers in the previous race get success Some races, championships, you get success ballast. In this championship, you get success extra time in the pit. So for the 38 Ferrari, it matters not. They're out of the race. They would have had a 10-second extra pit stop time. Frankie Lee and Sean Thong. Sean still at the wheel of that. They will have an extra 7 seconds at stand still. And Alex Young, well, he won't be having any extra time. He was due an extra 5 seconds, but he was also out on that opening lap down at turn 5. So Alessio Picariello leading by 2.6 seconds over Maxi Buch. Don't know when they'll be coming in, looking quite easy. Maxi Buch has just picked his way past one of the Porsche Caymans. That was the one with the yellow tail, which is number 89, the Hub Auto Racing entry. Ringo Chong at the wheel of that. He'll keep out of the way. So still the chase being mounted by Maxi Buch in the 99 Mercedes. The 39 Ferrari tucked in behind. There's the car in 4th place, number 9, Carlo Van Dam. He'll be handing over to Warrawud Pirompakti. He is 10 seconds down on the race leaders. It's been a good stint because they started not so close to the front row. They were on row number 4, so the fact he's running in 4th place. Yes, we had 4 cars removed, but he's kept it clean, kept it tidy, and was one of the drivers doing the overtaking in the early laps, gained a couple of positions. Gap between 1st and 2nd. It's actually gone out a little bit that time around. Again, traffic is what makes these little 1/10 of a second differences. Weezer continues, Van Dam continues, Sean Thong continues, and Kantzak Kassiri, the Thai racer, in the background in 6th place. They're almost halfway through the pit window, enjoying themselves so much that they want to carry on. All they have to do is get past pit entry. You don't have to complete your pit stop by 35 minutes into the race, but you have to have started it. So bear that in mind. You have some people braking very, very late indeed. Aston Martin springing back into action there. Entered by CMRT Eurasia, so James Kai now at the wheel. Our race leader though in the number 7 Audi, just running serenely, that nearly 3 seconds clear. He's just got enough space to be able to pick his line around the GT4 back markers. So through turn 5, into turn 6, out of turn 6. In the background you can just about make out the Mercedes or Maxi Buch giving chase. There it is, just picked off the Porsche Cayman. Don't forget, early in the race we had a driver incident. Not a driver incident, sorry, leaving the track incident for car number 7. He's had the warning. Stewards look at him. Pit lane still pretty busy down there. Track limit warning for car number 8. At the moment, that's Maxime Jus, one of the Porsches. And that, so he's got the warning flag. Number 7 still continues on the way. Picariello peerless away. Such a good start from pole position. Did enough to keep Maxi Buch behind him. The two really started to drop the field. Then, of course, we had that safety car period. But once it's been released, the gap, well, that was a better lap for Maxi Buch, down to 2.5 seconds. So James Kai has only just gone out of that Aston Martin, being shoved wide at turn 5 onto the tarmac beyond the white line. But he's gathered that all up and continues through turn 7 as the 88 Porsche presses on. The 88 Porsche, of course, had that drive-through penalty to serve. And has now done that. He's had his 2 visits to the pits. You can see from the rear bodywork of the 888 Mercedes, it's actually wearing some of the bodywork with the red livery, the red strip on it, which has been taken off the sister car. There was lots of swapping between the two of them, but for Jules Kowiak, he's had a good, solid opening stint. He's kept out of trouble while picking his way up the order. And with points going down for 10th place, you feel that now he's sensibly into the top 10, that some reward should be coming the way, and certainly for the team there, for he and his teammate Tim Sugden, they owe their mechanics a beer or a pat on the back very much for working through the night. And for one of the mechanics' girlfriends, she's suddenly got a trip instead of staying around in Germany in European spring. Why not come out and bring some spare parts to Thailand? And so she deserves her time in the sun as well. Getting very close towards the end of the pit window. Alessio Picariello stays out for another lap as the leader of GT4. Frank Yu peels off into the pit lane, and at least one more lap for both our race leader Picariello and the chaser Maxi Buch. Max Weezer as well is also eschewing going to the pits, but the Singer Motorsport Ferrari in the background, Carlo Van Dam, has peeled off out of 4th place. That leaves the top 3 runners not to have done a pit stop. A handful of others behind, but the vast majority of the field have visited the pits. And in comes the 888 Mercedes, driven by Jules Simkowiak, and he'll be handing over to Tim Sugden, team boss and teammate. GT4 class. It will settle down again. Of course, we just saw Frank Yu come into pit out of the lead of that class. He ought to, all things being equal, be able to pull back out into the lead of that class. Especially as he didn't pick up an extra time penalty for the pits, because victory yesterday after 77 was excluded, meant that another person, another crew, the 17 crew looking at right now, they had the 10 extra seconds at standstill. So that should certainly elevate Jean-Marc Merlin into the lead of that class once he comes out onto the circuit. Darryl O'Young in the 99 Porsche. Once we've had the top handful of drivers come in, we'll see where that was swapped back into position, where its true running order is. The 99 Porsche started by Devon Modell quite a long way down the order, but I think it'll be at about 12th position once everything has settled down after the pit stops, the final flurry. Right, race leader Picariello peels into the pits. Also Maxi Boot, just waiting to see if Max Wieser has come in as well. Yes, he has. So the top three have come in. Carlo Van Dam had come in earlier, so Vorwood Pirompakti will be able to come out in that. He should be out onto circuit. No, still listed as being in pit, but any moment now. The red and white Ferrari, I think it has just nipped out. So we can't see it as we look down the pit lane, but there's the milestone, the blue Milestone Racing Audi, started by Frankie Cheng, now in the hands of Sung Jingzhu. Two Chinese racers, so that's possibly my favourite livery of the cars in the race, because that metallic mid-blue looks very fine indeed. So Picariello will have got out of that number 7 Audi. Jay Fly by Absolute Racing and Jeffrey Lee, who we heard from at the start of the race talking to Renai, is being strapped in. But the good thing about this, with a 90-second limit from minimum from pit entry to pit exit, there doesn't have to be too much rushing in the pit stop. Everything can be done and done properly. So Jeffrey Lee, will he or will he not be going back into the lead of the race? He had an advantage of 2.8 seconds when they came in over Maxi Boot. Maxi will be handing over the 999 Mercedes to Hunter Abbott. And as you can see, as they come down the pit lane, it's still in race order. Mercedes still behind the Audi, and in the background the 39 Ferrari has been handed over from Max Wieser to Zhang Jing, and it does look as though it's exactly as they came in. If anyone has gained, it has been 39 Ferrari. In terms of time rather than track position, track order still seems to be the same. They came in first, second and third. I think they've come out into first, second and third positions. So job done by Alessio Picariello, and it'd be great to hear his thoughts, because he had a very clear run. And when you're under pressure from someone like Maxi Boot, you have to be on top of your game, and he certainly seems to have been very much that. Unlike so many young single-seater racers where they don't have the money or the brakes to go any further, the 23-year-old Belgian Picariello has made the choice to come over and cross over to racing cars with roofs, and last year did so very impressively. He was second in the Audi R8 LMS Cup, and then he did the Asian Le Mans Series over the winter in the GT class, and now he's in full GT cars, GT3 cars, and that was a very promising debut for him with the team. Didn't get to race at Sepang, but he's slotted in very nicely indeed for the J-Fly crew. GT4 action might only be 4 of them in class, but they do seem to circulate very close together a lot of the time. But it does look at the moment as though it's still, in fact, the order has just slightly changed. I've just got to double check that. But Jean-Marc Merlin is now listed in the 77 as being behind the number 10. Yeah, well, that's how it tallies, is what we can see. But I think that position is now about to be reversed as they come up to turn 5. Down the inside goes Jean-Marc Merlin. And the grey and blue Porsche with Byron Tong at the wheel, just getting up to speed, has lost position. So Merlin back into leader class. Just having a look at sort of, well, let's just keep an eye on that Mercedes, the one with a yellow flash up its flanks. That's 888, and it's now got Tim Sugden at the wheel. Still listed as having Jules Simkoviak, but we saw the car in the pit lane, therefore we know there's been a driver change. Just waiting for, sometimes the drivers take a while to flick the switch over to identify which driver is at the wheel. I'm sure that will be done soon. But safely in the top 10 for Tim Sugden. I was laughing with Tim. I think the first time I met him was at a circuit in England in the mid-1980s, mid-1986, racing in a circuit with a lake in the middle, and here we are. That was Mallory Park, and here we are at another circuit with a lake in the middle. In fact, a series of lakes dotted around the infield of the circuit. The 9 of Buriram Bhakti. Running in the Pro-Am class, we've got Pro-Am runners, we've got silver pairings, which theoretically are the top ranked drivers, and their cars are weighted accordingly, given extra ballast if you've got 2 drivers. If you have a silver and a bronze, then you can be Pro-Am, and if you're bronze, in terms of driver experience, results, ability, then you run in the AM class. But well, we've just had a lead change, so we've been talking there, and certainly very, very positive start from Hunter Abbott. Got his way held by traffic there, past Jeffrey Lee. Let's have a look and see if Abbott should pull away. In terms of race experience, Abbott should certainly be able to do that. And as they rush up to turn 1, it looks as though he is doing that very thing. Yes, certainly Jeffrey Lee being a little bit more circumspect as they go through the first of the twisters. And in fact, having got clear into the lead of the race, the Mercedes is very quickly dropping the number 7, Jeffrey Lee. Howdy. Jeffrey, a Taiwanese racer from Taiwan. A lot of racing over here in Asia in the GT series, but with Blancpain GT Series Asia, it's another larger stage, and certainly I must say I'm very impressed. It's only the 2nd round in the inaugural championship, building on the success of the Blancpain GT Series in and around Europe, and the 26 coming here to play, and more promise for the next round at the end of next month at Suzuka. The standard is going to rise and rise, and for those who love their supercars, it's just a fantastic championship to watch, and these 1-hour races are very, very quick fire. As you can see, lots of different marks, and they're generally balanced, their performance. Some of these cars are quicker at one point on the circuit, one point of the lap, and their rival cars from rival manufacturers quicker on other parts of the circuit, which makes the racing just so exciting. It's nip and tuck, and it's the ebb and flow of a battle where cars could come at the end of a lap with an identical lap time, but they've achieved it in very different ways. But right now, Hunter Abbott leading over the start-finish line by 0.75 of a second. Now the sister car, the number 888, Tim Sugden, yes, it's now his name on the screen, is trying to work his way. He's battling with the number 8 Porsche, with another Thai driver, Buriram Intera Fusak, and that's just behind Buriram Bhakti. So 2 Thai runners very close together indeed in 7th and 8th positions. Now, just looking to see if Jeffrey Lee can start to stabilise the gap, but he's about half a second a lap, maybe slightly more slower than the pace of Hunter Abbott. And again, down into turn 3, I'm afraid Lee was a little bit circumspect going past a back marker, hasn't managed to make it work, and he's had to do his overtaking after the corner, so that has stretched the advantage at the front. The Aston Martin kept out of the way, but at some point, number 69, Aston Martin with James Kye running in the AM class, had to turn into the corner, and unfortunately that meant that Jeffrey Lee had to go around the outside. So 88 lost a little bit of ground to the number 1 Lamborghini. Is going to go past. Aidan Reed briefly got ahead, and looks though Tim Sugden's going to muscle his way back past. Not yet, as they come up over the crest, down on the approach to turn 4. Sugden carrying more speed through turn 4, not close enough to make a move into turn 5. 59, that was Kantasak Kasiri, and that is now Buriram Bhakti. He's just clear of that battle, and that's where he's going to want to remain. And in fact, between Kasiri, we've got Butikon Intrafuzak in the number 8 Porsche. You can just see in the background of the shot there's the Porsche. It's got Aidan Reed tucked in behind the number 1 Lamborghini, and then Tim Sugden is in that grouping as well. So 3 cars almost together, and Buriram Bhakti will be very happy to just be dropping that cluster of cars so he can concentrate on everything he's doing. He can look in his mirrors, go, yeah, they're far enough off my tail not to challenge. In fact, Aidan Reed getting very close to the Porsche ahead of him, and the Porsche outbraked itself. I think Reed made a dive, and Interafusak maybe just was distracted, missed his braking point, went out over the curbing, got it back onto the circuit, but 2 places lost for the number 8 Porsche there, for the S Cola Team Thailand. That was very unfortunate, but you could sort of see it coming. great big rear wing on these Porsches, absolutely vast, giving them fantastic handling, but not subtle, it must be said. It's as wide as the wing on the Mercedes ahead, but just looks somewhat bigger. Maybe it's just the body shape, the tapered rear of the 911. 911, of course, the body shape first seen 60 years ago. No, let's call it 50 years ago, let's be a bit more accurate. And has changed and morphed over the years, but you can still see that bloodline through and through. Talking Porsches, in the background of the shot, you've got Darrell Young starting to get onto the tail of what was a trio, but in fact that moment for the number 8 Porsche has dropped it out of the battle a little bit, but he's fighting back. Gap between first and second is now out to 3.2 seconds, so it's only going one way, unfortunately, for Jeffrey Lee. Third place is still being held by the 39 Ferrari, which is Zhang Jing. Now, these cars are equal on points in the championship, and what we're starting to see with Mitch Gilbert in the 86 OD Racing Audi is he appears to have more than the measure of Marchi Lee, who's up in front of him. Marchi ended up second in yesterday's race, so the speed is there. But right now, Mitch Gilbert, who didn't get to show himself in yesterday's race, taken out at turn 3 on the opening lap, he is on the hunt for points. So the Malaysian-born driver from Australia is closing in, closing. This could be a battle that gets one of them onto the podium. They're battling over 4th place at the moment. Now the number 8 Porsche has worked its way back past Tim Sugden in the 888 Mercedes. Don't forget that car hasn't had a lot of time on track, so it's a massive rebuild. So I'm sure it's not quite handling as Tim Sugden would like. Now here is the car in second place, Jeffrey Lee, and that was started, of course, by Alessio Picariello, and Brunei has caught up with him down in the pits. So let's hear what our pole starter has to think.
Hey, I've got you guys stop. Brilliant drive coming in. What's it like?
Well, yeah, the goal was to stay in front, and if I could pull away. Already in the first lap I could make a little gap, but luckily we got the
Okay, a little bit unfortunate there, a little bit of RF breakup there. It's the great big solidity of the pit building, but Alessio Picariello, who started so well from pole and led Maxi Buch the whole way around to the pit stops, had a lead of about 2.5 seconds. Really strong run. Now it's in the hand of Jeffrey Lee, Picariello's number 7 Audi, but what we can see is Lee has lost the lead to Hunter Abbott, and now Xinjiang is closing in and was 1.3 seconds down on the start-finish line. So this is the battle for second place. No wonder Zhang is starting to flash his headlights. He's trying to do everything he can to unsettle Jeffrey Lee, but Lee's holding on for now, but the speed does seem to be with the 39 Ferrari driver. Down to turn 3 they go, around this long hairpin. And the Ferrari, again, as I've mentioned earlier in the race, they seem to be very, very sleek and good in the straight line. Of course, there's a straight line as they go chasing back out of turn 3 after the race leader. Hunter Abbott just gone out of our shot, the race leading Mercedes. Then we get to the twisty part of the circuit, and this is the point at which the Audi seems to be the tool to have. So at this point, Zhang just has to look at the back of the Audi and try and keep in touch with it. But then once he accelerates up the start-finish straight, pretty much between there and turn 3, he knows he has the advantage. Yes, you can see how the gap has gone out. Best lap of the race set so far by Maxi Buch in the opening stint of the race-leading Mercedes. 1 minute 34.532 seconds, and just to give you a guide, last time around Hunter Abbott must have had traffic. He was nearly 4 seconds down on that pace, but he's sitting on a lead of 3.5 seconds. So I think it's under control, but of course it's a hot day. How their tyres hold up is definitely an element, but I must say the circuit here seems to be relatively kind on the tyres, probably because there aren't many high-speed corners or lots of tight, twisty corners. The ones that put huge loading on are few and far between here. Really the corner that does the most loading, but it shares it with both sides of the car, is turns 10 and 11. Great action here. Darrell Young in the yellow and green Porsche, really hassling the cars ahead of him, but in turn being challenged, and 59 Buriram back to. But what we've had in the last couple of laps is that we've had a couple of places gained by Darrell Young. That's been very good indeed. Tim Sugden's done well. I think what's happened is actually Interior in the Porsche with the orange band on the nose has just lost a little bit of ground. He might have had another off-track moment. Now he's tucked in behind the tail of Darrell Young in this Porsche battle. and tucked in behind his Buriram. He trying to get on back, but quite feisty stuff. Certainly the 99 Porsche got involved in a bit of clash yesterday. Today it's keeping clean, but it's very tight up at the hairpin now. Much wider exit line from Darrell Young. He should have better acceleration up the straight because the number 8 Porsche had to cut its exit line, but as they come back over the hill, which one's ahead? It's the nose of the yellow Porsche as they come back into my sight, and as they start trying to brake and lose speed for turn 4, yep, he makes the move and sticks it back, but number 8's having a look up the inside as they go to turn 5, gaining on both of them is Buriram in the Audi, tucked in behind. Great battling, and this has been a feature of the Blancpain GT Series Asia's first visit to the Chang International Circuit here in Buriram. It's been close, and a driver has to maybe think up his move for several laps. And of course, if you can find a GT4 Porsche Cayman up ahead of you, you can sometimes use the slower car in the junior class to sort out the battle for you, give you more options, more bullets in your gun. But right now, it's number 8 Porsche behind the 99, but he also has that 59 Audi right on his tail. Now this is the battle for second place. A lap ago, there's about a second between them, and Jiang in the 39 Ferrari from the Spirit of Race stable had a look down the outside. He was level with Jeffrey Lee as they approached turn 3, but Lee had the inside route into the corner, which is the one you want. Basically, he said, if you want to go past me, go around the long way. As they come down to turn 4, very close indeed, a late cut across, and that has compromised Jiang, who I'd say was a little optimistic to be looking for the inside because it's a fairly tight corner. Anyhow, he held it well, but he's going to have to take quite a few laps to get back up to speed. So that was a challenge for second place, slightly half-hearted and not at a corner where a great deal of passing has happened. Certainly not when you're talking about cars that are lapping within about a fifth of a second of each other. Maybe down the inside of a GT4 runner. But with 10 minutes remaining, another bit of a twitch there, so he's got to get his focus back. Jiang, he's really got a bit rattled by the moment at turn 4 as they come back out of turn 9 into 10 and snake their way back. Is that going to be his best shot for second place? Certainly helped Jeffrey Lee, but neither of them seem to be able to do anything about Hunter Abbott, who is pulling clear in the 999 Mercedes. 4.9 seconds clear last time around. Will that have gone out? I think it probably will. 6.5, of course. The lap there compromised for Jeffrey Lee by the attack from Xinjiang as they came down to turn number 4. Marchie Lee still winning that battle with Mitch Gilbert, the battle over 4th place, the battle between the two championship challengers, championship leaders, equal on points at the top of the championship. 3/4 of a second between them as they run around in 4th and 5th place. Darrell Young has had a good handful of laps. He's just coming across the line. How far down on Tim Sugden? 4.8 seconds now. So for the Mercedes racer, he got himself clear of this battle. He's probably getting used to the handling vagaries. Of course, there will be some, just small ones perhaps, for the Group M Mercedes racer, because that car was completely rebuilt and no time to go out and do any track time apart from the formation lap and the outlap to the grid. So I'm sure Tim is driving around any foibles that the car is producing, but a great effort from the crew to get that ready. And in fact, Tim was telling me about repairs yesterday, or the potential repairs, and one of the crew was telling me today that when they opened the box of parts when they arrived, the wrong wishbone had been sent out, and they thought, oh no, that's come the whole way from Germany and now we can't fix the car. Then they found the correct wishbone in their parts pile. So a happy end. They do live to not only race, but maybe go on towards some points. At the moment, Tim is lapping in for 8th place at the moment. He's got 3.5 seconds to make up on Aidan Reed's Lamborghini up ahead of him. They were fighting a while back, but Tim seems to be settling down to the pace now and could start to close in. There is the sister car, the 999, Hunter Abbott, sitting on a lead that appears to be going out. It was 6 and a bit seconds last lap. It's 7.5 seconds this lap. Doesn't look as though either of them were interrupted by traffic, so Hunter having a happier run of things. So has Jeffrey Lee got anything he can throw back at him? I think if you put them side by side now and said off you go from the start line, you would still have Hunter Abbott coming out ahead. He seems to really be taking to these big AMG Mercedes. Last few years for Hunter Abbott have actually been spent in the British Touring Car Championship, but he does have an experience in GT cars from about 10 years ago, also in the British GT Championship. But I think he's very much enjoying crossing back over to compete in the Blancpain GT series, and certainly these big Mercedes AMGs are very, very impressive cars. A huge step forward from the SLS AMG model, the one that had those great big gull-wing doors that was its predecessor. A much harder car to get used to start with, but much more rewarding, so I'm told, when you get out there and really learn how to shake it by the throat. James Kite diving past a pair of the GT4 runners. Is that a place change? Just trying to see if that was a positional change. No, it wasn't. It's all right. So, Jean-Marc Merlin still leading the GT4 class. Tim Sugden giving chase, seeing what he can do about Aidan Reid. In fact, he lost a little bit in traffic on the last lap, so he hasn't closed on the Lamborghini. Quite the reverse, but points will be coming the way of the racer from Leeds in Yorkshire. Again, if these are your first sights of the Chang International Circuit, this is the run back to turn 4 from turn 3, which is in the background, over a slight rise. There is gradient change here. And number 17, flying third in the GT4 class. Only 4 of them got to start. One of the drivers was disqualified in the 5th entry yesterday after a clash with the race leader. Took out the race leader. Unfortunately, that was Anthony Liu in his Ferrari that ended up on the wrong end of that shakeout. So, still sitting on the naughty step today. Number 5, Mark Shi Li, doesn't have the answers. He's 1.4 seconds down. Jin Jiang may yet catch him before the end of the race, but the most important thing for him, yes, the Ferrari is certainly coming back towards him, is that he keeps ahead of Mitch Gilbert, who's chasing after them in the background. There's Mitch in the black, that's Mark Shi Li in the grey, silver and gold R8 LMS, and the car right behind, black with red flashes on it, has got Mitch Gilbert on board. And they have been trading tenths of a second here and there. How much longer will Jeffrey Lee be in second place? Because Jin Jiang is closing in, Mark Shi Li in turn is closing in the background, and Mitch Gilbert there is second through to 5th places, covered by about 2 seconds. Soon we'll have them all in one tightly framed shot. Mark Shi Li hanging on. This will be a great result for him. Sorry, that's Jeffrey Lee. Mark Shi Li is in the Audi 2 places further back, but Jin Jiang really fancies his chances. Right, here's the moment. Jeffrey Lee held up by the GT4 Cayman as they go through the final corner, and now Jin Jiang, what's that going to be on the start finish line? 0.1 of a second between the two, and 0.2 of a second. Tucks in behind, can't make the move before turn 1. Mark Shi Li in the ball, but a bad run through turn 1, a wide exit, so the better momentum coming out of that first corner of this, the next lap, is definitely with the Ferrari driver. Will the Spirit of Race Ferrari, number 39, go around the outside? Yes, it will, into the lead of the race. Of course, the Ferrari's so good down that long straight, the kilometre-long straight, but he's on a very weird line, overly protected, but he had the inside line, which was absolutely fine. But look at Mark Shi Li, right behind Jeffrey Lee now. Let's get my leads the right way around. I have a feeling they could be changing position any time now. Mark Shi Li is looking to the right. I think he's going to go up the left any moment now as they come up over the crest of the hill down towards turn 4. The Ferrari just far enough ahead in second place not to be troubled. Mark Shi Li looking very feisty and positive as they approach turn 5. Not close enough to make a move, but as he makes the challenge up the inside he goes. Well, a slip wide from Jeffrey Lee, and Mark Shi Li doesn't need a second invitation. Up he goes into 3rd place, and he's so close he could almost challenge at the next corner. Doesn't quite get close enough to Jin Jiang, but this could be 2 places gained in the space of half a lap. And look how Mitch Gilbert is now right onto the tail of that group. That little slip and slide at turn 5 from Jeffrey Lee has really unstuck his race. Not so long ago, half a lap ago, he was in second place. He made that poor exit from turn 1, and he really has paid a very high price indeed for that. Under 4 minutes remaining in this 1-hour race. It seems to have gone past in a blaze, in a flash. Jin Jiang now up into second place. Spirit of Race won Ferrari victory yesterday, but that was the sister car. That was the number 38 car. That was one of 4 cars that went out halfway round the opening lap. And we heard from Rui Aguas, absolutely despondent after that, but it could be a second podium finish out of the 2 races here in Buriram in Thailand for Spirit of Race. But right now it could be second place, but at this form you'd have to really fancy Mark Shi Li going past into second. In the Audi Hong Kong R8 LMS, he's weaving to the left, to the right, and having another look. He's going to try and take the wide entry and the tight exit. Let's see, can Jiang hold on to that second place? He's just wise enough. He's, but again, the better exit speed. But look for the punch of the Ferrari. Sleeker in a straight line, up over the crest from turn 3 they go. But on the outside line, hoping perhaps to make a wide sweep through turn 4 when they approach there, but the Ferrari is ahead, but he's on the slightly compromised inside line. Maybe a move will come up into turn 5. Marchy Lee carrying more speed in this battle for second place. Up the inside he goes into turn 5, as if I predicted it. And in a flash, I think going to have Mitch Gilbert going up the inside because the Ferrari went, oh, Mitch couldn't quite pull it off at turn 4. So Zhang nearly lost 2 places in the space of an entrant and an exit to a corner. This is really, really tight stuff. Jeffrey Lee in the background of that shot. It's Audi, Ferrari, Audi, Audi. Gilbert's so close to getting up into 3rd place, but Zhang really doing a very good job to hang on. He very nearly got pushed wide by the dive up the inside from Marchy Lee. Marchy would be delighted with that. Now he looks safe, and the attack is coming from Gilbert, trying to get up onto the podium as well. Don't forget, a 1st and a 2nd in the opening 2 races at Sepang. From Mitch Gilbert now, is this GT4 back runner going to be, he's got to take the corner and get back onto the circuit. Didn't compromise Gilbert. Gilbert got a better exit from the final corner of the lap. Can he do anything about the Ferrari ahead of him? No, not quite. I thought he had just enough momentum to make a move into turn 1. Into the final 2 minutes of this 1-hour race. There's the OD Racing Audi, a better run through turn 1 than Zhang. And Zhang looks like he has a slightly better run through than Marchy Lee. So let's see how this tightens up as they come up to turn 3. The hairpin at the end of the kilometre-long straight. A little kink in the middle of it. Marchy Lee's got his entrance very nicely done to the corner. Gilbert's trying the wide entrance and the tight exit manoeuvre. I think it's going to work because he's got a better exit speed than Zhang. But Zhang just gets the power down, doesn't get edged onto the grass, gets very close indeed. This is tight. Gilbert knows he's probably only got this lap and the next one in which to try and make the pass to get 3rd place. Meanwhile, Hunter Abbott is now 10.6 seconds clear. We haven't seen him for a while. He's in a race of his own in the 999. Gruppe M Racing Team Mercedes took over from Maxi Buch. Maxi brought the car in from 2nd place, but once the 7 Audi was put into the hands of Jeffrey Lee and he was monstered by Hunter Abbott, there were no answers from the 7 crew. And now, in fact, Lee has lost out. He's stuck behind the GT4 car in the background, so he's not going to challenge in this battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th positions. Jeffrey Lee dropping away in 5th. So the big red flash over the graphite bodywork, graphite grey bodywork of the Gruppe M team. Coming round, turn 12 out of 12 for the penultimate time. You can see 30 seconds on the clock. So the 1-hour mark will be reached some point around this lap, and Hunter Abbott can almost stop and wave to his pit crews. He's driven an exemplary race, blotted his copybook with a spin and a car-bending shunt on Friday morning, but he's gone faster and faster. He also had a slight clash on the opening lap of yesterday's race that pushed Mitch Gilbert's Audi out of the way and was given a 30-second time penalty. So 2nd at the end of the race became 6th, but now it looks as though 2nd on the grid is going to turn into 1st place. Now we've reached the 1-hour mark. And who is going to take 2nd? Is it going to be Jin Zhang making a move up the outside of Marchy Lee? I thought Marchy had this all under control. Zhang really snaking under braking. Gilbert's going to go up the inside. Is he going to make that work on the Ferrari? Yes, he most certainly is. He'll run to the curb on the exit, does exactly that. The Ferrari chopped off from going towards the podium position, back into 4th place for Jin Zhang. I don't think Gilbert's got enough speed as he tries everything he can to keep the Ferrari behind him. That will give a vital bit of breathing space down into turn 4 for Marchy Lee. I think it's job done. It's going to be 2 Audis on the podium, and the Ferrari doesn't make it to the podium unless something happens between this duo, between Marchy Lee and Mitch Gilbert, as they go around the final lap through turn 5, through turn 6. See how the track here in Buriram snakes to the left, to the right, the left again. It's really, really hard work. Hunter Abbott's made it look like short work indeed. He's going to win this race by 10, 11 seconds. But it looks as though Marchy Lee has done enough to hold on, or has he? Making an absolute crazy final dive around this wild final lap. We'll see who comes out ahead. It's still Marchy Lee as they get up to turn 10. But as they do that, turning through turn 12 to win this race, there is the checkered flag for Hunter Abbott. It's been a peculiar weekend for Group M Motorsport, but they have come away with victory for Hunter Abbott. Great race from the duo, started by Maxi Buch, finished by Hunter Abbott. Talking of finishing, there is Marchy Lee finishing in 2nd place, just ahead of Mitch Gilbert. In the background, Jin Zhang will be wondering what could have been, and Jeffrey Lee takes 5th place. So it's victory for Mercedes from a brace of Audis, with Marchy Lee taking 2nd place overall and the silver victory. Pro-Am victory goes to our race winners, and it was the 39 Audi coming home in 4th place. And the final cars in the top 10 coming through. Aidan Reed, the number 1 Audi Lamborghini, takes the same under the bodywork, taking 6th place. Vororud Bimbakti takes 7th, and Tim Sugden, Darrell Young, and finally the last car in the top 10 is Vutikon Intrafusak. So quite a lot of Thai representation. That's good to see. In fact, the Thai racers coming home in 8th 10th and 11th, but all the plaudits should go to the 999 crew. Very, very tidy race indeed for them, and Hunter Abbott will, I'm sure, be very emotional as he drives it back in, and I think the emotions will be high in the Group M team simply because they've had so little sleep, and that certainly brings emotions right to the fore, as anybody who's worked in a 24-hour race or driven in a 24-hour race will know. So Mercedes take victory. I think everyone in the grandstand will have had a really good day's racing here today at the Chang International Circuit, a circuit that really is maturing very nicely. Indeed. Worth pointing out the AM victory at the end of all that went to the Aston Martin crew. We saw a fair bit of that. So James Kye has brought it home for CMRT Eurasia, and some of the rivals ended up not quite making it to the finish. In the GT4 class, it was indeed the 77 Porsche that brought it through to the finish. Jean-Marc Merlin ahead of the 10 and the 17. So 2 wins in 2 days for Jean-Marc Merlin. Hopefully he can keep hold of this one, because yesterday it was taken away. But all the plaudits should go for the Group M racing team, not only for rebuilding the number 888 sister car, but for the efforts of first Maxi Buch and then Hunter Abbott to win by 11 seconds at the end, 11.135 seconds. So that is a very good performance. And don't forget, of course, all of this was not foreshortened, but the race was interrupted early on as that first lap incident down at turn 5 was cleared up. And now the colour as the cars make it back to the finish line. Those who will be walking onto the podium to celebrate, all forming into position. Down below the podium. So 1 hour of racing that seemed to go by in a massive flash. There is the race-winning Group M racing Mercedes. Hunter Abbott will be unstrapping and climbing out. It's always a time of great satisfaction. And in the two-driver race, there are so many things that can happen. The pit stops, because they're controlled by having a minimum time from pit in to pit out of 90 seconds. At least it means very few things are sorted out in the pit lane. But there's Hunter Abbott taking the applause from the team. Maxi Buch, who's finished yesterday's race, lost out on victory by 3/4 of a second after an epic chase of Rui Aguas. He can come away from his first visit to this championship, the Blancpain GT Series Asia, first ever championship of its type over here, with great surprise, great delight, second place and a first. That's a pretty good haul. So you get the calm at the end of the race. All the build-up is now over. Great support program here too at the Chang International Circuit, and a time of reflection for the drivers. But certainly the pairing of Hunter Abbott and Maxi Buch looked very strong indeed. A shame we lost 4 of the top 6 cars on that opening lap. But we're going to go down very, very shortly to go down to Joy Renai with the winners. So let's go down to Renai.
Okay, well, the winners.
Yeah, it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. The team did a great job. Again, I can't thank car 888 enough. For race 1, it was unbelievable. Maxi handed the car over in a great position. We're P2. We came out about 3 seconds behind the guy in P1, and I think a second lap or so I just managed to nip through on the inside just over here. Yeah, it's awesome. Car was brilliant.
Incredible, and it was a big weekend for the team.
Yeah, it was. Indeed, we had some struggles in the beginning with the accident and so on, and missing the first race for car 888, but at the end we are already really happy that we finished P1 overall, and that I think the 888 car is on the podium as well, so really good day.
Yeah.
Okay, good to see you smiling. What happens next?
Get some trophies, I think. Yeah.
How are you going to be celebrating?
He's off to Bangkok, but he flies out at 2 a.m, so he's got to party hard very quickly.
No, I don't party hard. I have to go back home and then 24 hours Nürburgring, seeing my girlfriend, and yeah.
Seeing his girlfriend. See, those are priorities. Over to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much. And of course, a driver like Maxi Buch, he is booked every weekend to be doing something. As he said, his next event, the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. So a busy, busy young racer. And you can see by the satisfaction from the race-winning team. Just waiting for the podium ceremonies. So let's take a look at the results. Confirmation, Buch and Abbott winning by 11.1 seconds ahead of Marchi Lee and Sean Thong, who really had to fight so hard for second place. Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel will now be second in the championship leading here, but they've recovered to third place in the race. That was a good result from them. Jin Chang really impressed, having taken over the fourth place Ferrari from Max Visa. And then Jeffrey Lee couldn't build on the winning start of Alessio Picariello, but still fifth place, showed a great deal of experience. 14th place overall, winner of the AM class, James Kai and Kenneth Lim, CMRT Aston Martin. And then the GT4 class won by Jean-Marc Merlin. So let's go down again to speak to the crew who finished in second place, Marchi Lee and Sean Thong.
Look, I've got Sean Thong. Now, Marchi's just come out of the car and it's super hot, so he's run off to the shade, but here you go.
Yeah, it's good to finish second again. So I think this weekend is a really good weekend for me and Marchi, even though we didn't win the race, but I think it's really good championship points, and the most important thing is we beat the other Audi and we finished both races as the fastest Audi, so I'm really happy about it. And yeah, Marchi did a great job. It's really hot in the car and he defended Mitch really well. But I think I did a good job as well because I started with the same race set from yesterday. So the mileage on the tires is really old. So I can still put the fight with the other car. So I think I put up good show, and I think we deserve to be on the podium twice this weekend.
Great race. Enjoy that. Over to you, Bruce.
Thanks, Renai. Indeed, I think it's a very, very strong pairing of Marchi Lee and Sean Thong. They really are a very well-balanced crew and had to really fight for it, and certainly Marchi Lee deserves a big pat on the back for his passage from fourth place up into second. Really had to fight in those closing laps when tyres are not at their best on a very, very hot track, and the fact that Marchi Lee had to go off and almost lie down before the podium ceremony shows just how hot it is in the cockpit of these closed GT3 races. Third place, though, they'll be relieved to have got some points. Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel, they really had to fight for position. And they came away with third, and of course at least getting up on the podium is a great boost at the end of a race meeting like this, and it went so wrong for them on the opening lap yesterday, and they'll be pleased with that, because to finish fourth you've got fewer points, but there is still something in racing, getting up on a podium at the end. You feel as though you've got some reward. And certainly for Gilbert and the Indian racer Aditya Patel, it's being a very good season so far. They'll have to do it all over again in just over a month's time at Suzuka, a very different sort of circuit, and who knows what weather we can get. It can either be very hot there or very, very thundery, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. This visit to Buriram in Thailand has been really good, and we've thoroughly enjoyed coming here with the inaugural Blancpain GT Series Asia. There we are, you can see all the signage on the bridge and the massive grandstand behind. So we've talked about the third place finishers, Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel. They're going to be down, speaking on the grid, to Renai.
Okay, here we go. Mitch Gilbert, you pulled some magic out just there. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult. I was struggling a little bit more than I hoped. I thought at one point that we'd be on for the win, but when everyone did the stops, I ended up in fifth, so I had a lot of work to do, and lucky everyone started battling and I managed to just make the best of it, and yeah, here we are.
Okay, and Aditya, I mean, after yesterday, being able to pull it around together as a team.
Yeah, I guess we managed to get a good start today. That helped us a lot. We were from 11th after all the chaos and everything, up to 4th on lap 1. Things were going well for a while, but then I started to struggle a little bit. And I mean, I'm sorry for Mitch, and I guess we know we could have done so much better. I put him in the wrong place on the track, and then he had to struggle for the rest of the race. But I guess we can look back at all the positives and take it forward to the next weekend.
You're on the podium.
We want to be on the top step.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Definitely top step,
definitely.
But third, we'll take third.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Take third today, but they're working towards that P1, Bruce. Over to you.
Only a win will do for these racing drivers. But it's been really quite a race, the second performance here at the Chang International. So let's look at the highlights of 1 hour packed with fabulous, brilliant racing action. Packed grid, very, very high temperatures. Humidity, luckily not too bad. But at the start, Alessio Picariello held down the lead from pole position. A big challenge from the outside from Maxi Buch in the 999 Mercedes. Rui Aguas in the silver Ferrari that won yesterday, having a little look to see if he could get up into third place. It came a little bit muscular between he and Alex Young. Alex got up into third place, going around the hairpin on the first lap. A little clash at the back. Porsche and an Audi getting it wrong and paying the price accordingly to drop to the tail of the field. But just 3 corners later was this incident. I'm afraid we lost 4 of the top 6 cars, all in a little bit of a pinball moment. We had the safety car period while they were tidied up, and then when they were released, Picariello seemed to have things under control and pulled about 2.5 seconds clear of Maxi Buch. And certainly the number 5 Audi was making very, very good progress as well as it picked its way up in the hands of Sean Thong. And the Craft 88 Porsche tried to pick its way back up the order, but had a drive-through penalty. Aditya Patel handed over to Mitch Gilbert. The 86 Audi, you can see in the background of the shot there, came out in 5th place and had to pick its way forward. Then the 999 Mercedes that didn't get to start yesterday's race, just pulling out of the pits ahead of the race-leading car. Picariello handing that over, but in no time at all, Jeffrey Lee, who took over the 7 Audi, lost out to Hunter Abbott, who'd taken over from Maxi Buch. There was the change of positions. Down into turn 12 they go, and Hunter Abbott was never headed again. Alex Young out on that opening lap, had to watch it all from the sidelines. Plenty of sorting out yesterday, not so much at turn 12, but today it was all happening down at that final corner, as you saw Tim Sugden going wide in his battle with the Porsche that was up ahead. And then the Porsche got it wrong the next time around, the Estcola entry, and that lost ground accordingly. But the battle for the minor positions on the podium became very hot. Xinjiang getting super close to going off the circuit. And then eventually Jeffrey Lee lost out. But look at the car in the background, the number 5 Audi coming forward very, very strongly indeed towards the end of the race. And it got closer and closer, and then the action went the wrong way for the Ferrari driver. Xinjiang being elbowed back down. Marchie Lee going forward. Mitch Gilbert making a move up the inside into turn 3. The Ferrari stuck on the outside, and Zhang loses a position, and with it any hope of being on the podium as the 2 Audis come through. But here, through the final corner, to make it the win in race number 2, Hunter Abbott winning for Mercedes. And now the podium ceremonies will begin. And this will be the overall podium. And the first 2 drivers out there, that's Mitch Gilbert coming up and Aditya Patel, 3rd place for the OD Racing Audi team. Audi Hong Kong crew coming up. Marchie Lee walking out in front of Sean Thong. And here come our race winners for the Group M Mercedes Racing team. It's Maxi Buch walking out and the taller figure of Hunter Abbott onto the top step of the podium. Overall victory here in race 2 in Buriram. And walking out to give out the trophies will be Mr. Tanayasiri Chamvitagaram, MD of the circuit here, the Chang International Circuit. He should be very proud of the circuit they've built up and the racing that they've achieved here. So while the podium's happening, Motul is encouraging fans to send their best shot of this weekend's racing action, the colour in the paddock and the pit lane, plus all the tremendous atmosphere at the Chang International Circuit, to Blancpain GT Series Asia's Facebook page. Voting on which photo you think is best can be done by using the like, love or wow emojis, and the winning photo will be announced in the course of the week ahead. So look out to see if it will be yours. So the winner's checks are being passed across as well. Look at that, $10,000 for winning. That buys a very, very good meal and a big party out tonight. But for the crews, I think it's the satisfaction of getting things right this afternoon. So it's time for the champagne. They don't have to worry about racing these overalls again this weekend. So while Marchie Lee is struggling with his champagne stopper and gets a faceful from Sean Thong, he'll now be blind for a short period. Maxi Buch keeps it under control. He has so many wins in Mercedes. But for Hunter Abbott, he's really starting to enjoy his visits to the Far East. And this was a strong, strong race performance at the Chang International Circuit. So there is the podium ceremony for the top 3 finishers. And they will be delighted with their race action. We're looking forward to the next round of the Chang, of the Blancpain GT Series Asia, when we leave Chang International Circuit and head to Japan, to Suzuka, a scene of so many epic races. Will it be a Mercedes winning next time round? We've had wins from Audis and Ferrari, or will another manufacturer, maybe Audi, work its way towards the top step of the podium? But for now, it's goodbye from here. So now waiting for the second of the 4 podium ceremonies, and this will be for the Pro-Am finishers. So in third place on the podium is the number 7 crew, who finished in 5th place overall. That was Jeffrey Lee and Alessio Picariello. Second place will be the number 39 crew, which is Max Wieser and Xinjiang, who fought so hard, and then Hunter Abbott and Maxi Book, again on the top step of the podium. Coming out to present the trophies and the winner's clock, you'll see the clock in a minute, Blancpain winner's clock, is Achim Linker from Blancpain. So trophies to the third place crew, trophies to the second place crew. There's Max Wieser on the left. And Xinjiang, who would have gained a lot of experience in the battling towards the end of the race. He'll have plenty to think about. But the experienced crew on the top step, Hunter Abbott and most notably Maxi Book, a job very well done indeed. Don't forget they won the race by over 11 seconds. Maxi started the race. And there is the Blancpain winner's clock. Hunter Abbott holding that up. Champagne comes out, so I think Maxi Book is thinking, I might just get off this podium quite quickly. The crew second in the Pro-Am honours, 39 crew from Spirit of Race. Their teammates won yesterday, and they're delighted to have got a podium at least this afternoon for the Pro-Am honours. Finished 4th overall. 2 more podiums to come. We've got the Am honours, and then we have the GT4 honours, and Jean-Marc Merlin will be back onto the top step there. Some of the GT4 cabins just being wheeled away from the grid at the back of the shot. And this circuit, I think, very much has suited both types of car, the GT3s and the GT4s. Certainly on first sight, it's a challenging circuit, and it also has proved that there can be overtaking. So I think this will become an increasingly popular circuit. And certainly the drivers love coming here. Everybody seems to enjoy everything that Thailand offers, and just the sheer appeal of the place, the people, the climate. It's got so much to recommend it. Now we're looking for the Am podium. And that's the number 2 crew of Zhu Junhan and Lin Yu. And here are the winners from CMRT Eurasia. Number 69 Aston Martin crew of James Kai and Kenneth Lim. And those trophies will be presented to them by Jack Mack, motorsport specialist. This is the Am class. These are 2 bronze crews. That means they're relatively inexperienced drivers, gentlemen drivers, if you will, but racing on the full international stage and lapping it up. So the one and only Aston Martin in the race, the CMRT Eurasia Vantage, comes away with victory in class. And yeah, you can see on the faces how that appeals. Only 2 finishers in the class because we lost one of the others on the opening lap of the race. The number 19 KCMG Audi that got spat out in the instant up at turn 3. Right now, a chance to check how quick you are with nimble you are with your fingers. And then we will have the podium for the GT4 runners in the Porsche Caymans. That's the end of the podium ceremony for the Am finishers. I think they're probably going to have quite a good party tonight. And I think everybody thoroughly enjoyed the racing here. Certainly some fantastic camera angles around this circuit. Enough gradient change to make it interesting. Certainly some very tight and interesting corners. And it's been a great couple of days racing on Blancpain GT Series Asia's first visit here, and I'm sure it's the first of many. So the cars being stripped clear off the grid, the last few just in front of the podium as we wait for the GT4 runners to have their podium. Grandstand starting to empty. It was absolutely thronging with people at the start of the race. Certainly a great feeling in the paddock here at the Chang International Circuit. And now up into third place on the podium is the number 17 crew from Taiwan Top Speed Racing, Keo Chang and Jeremy Wang. I thought they drove well this weekend. Second place, the number 10 crew, EKS Motorsports, Byron Tong and Eric Lowe, and Jean-Marc Merlin. Second time to the top step this weekend. Hopefully he'll keep this one after yesterday's disqualification. And Frank Yu taking victory for Craft Bamboo Racing. And if you recognise the man presenting the trophies, it's Jack Mack from Motul, back up again, giving the trophies to third place, to second place, to the winners, and then he'll have some checks to hand out as well. A welcome extra at the end of the day, but for drivers like Jean-Marc Merlin, it's for the pleasure of racing all out around the world. He likes racing prototypes as well. Jean-Marc, the driver with the grey beard. Yeah, and the smile shows why they go racing. Frank Yu also enjoying it very much indeed up on the top. So $3,500 for the race-winning duo. And I think the final round of applause will go their way. A final spray of champagne. Yeah, certainly Merlin and Frank Liu looking very pleased indeed. Both drivers who have the age to give perspective. Frank Liu just turning next week, turning 54 years old. I'm sure he won't thank me for saying that, but drove like a young'un. So champagne, they start to run out of hands. Trophies, checks and champagne. And so the last group of drivers vacate the podium here at Chang International Circuit. No doubt the drivers who finished the second stint will be looking to go and sit down and have a little bit of a rest. It was certainly very, very hot indeed here at the Chang International Circuit, but we will be back, I am sure, and many international series will be looking on with interest to maybe plan visits here themselves. But from the Blancpain GT Asia crew, it's been a thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyable meeting, and most notably, if you're from Group M racing team, you've had to rebuild a car and you've come away with victory in the afternoon. So we've had the final podium ceremony, and I think it's time to go down one more time. Back down to Renai in the heat and the sun.
The heat of the sun, yes, Bruce, but it's been some hot racing out on track as well. From myself and the team here in Buriram, Thailand, thank you for watching. Round 3 and round 4 is done. We head to Suzuka in Japan for the next rounds. I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.